All right, good morning. Oh, you beautiful talking people. Good morning. It's time to start. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in the Heart of Las Cruces on this beautiful Sunday morning. And we're thinking about nature this month, so we're going to start with morning inspire. If you would like to stand, you may. Otherwise, you will. Morning has broken like the first morning, like bird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the saving, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the bird. To fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first to fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, strong in completeness where you see grass. Is the sunset, light is the morning, born of the one light, Eden some way. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken like the first morning, blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for the spring, fresh from the bird. I am the center of creation. I am the sea, planted in stillness. I am the center of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. I am the center of creation. I am the tree, rooted in fullness. I am the center of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. I am the center of creation. I am complete, living in wholeness. I am the center of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. For the highest thoughts of God.
Yay. I like that idea that we are the fertile ground for those highest thoughts of God. So good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Bonny, the community spiritual leader here at the center. I'd like to welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces. where our vision is a world in loving partnership for the good of all. And I'd like to welcome anyone visiting for the first time. We have visitor packets at both doors. They do include a gift certificate to our bookstore, so please pick one up on your way out. Also, I want to remind everyone that we do have a newsletter that goes out every Thursday, and that has listed in it all of the fun things that are going on here at the center. And there's a lot happening despite our slowdown that we had for a couple of years. We are up and running again, so check out everything in there. And you are all invited to join us for the New Thought Potluck Luncheon, which is the fourth Thursday of each month. So this month it will be on the 25th at 11:30 here. We get together with all the other New Thought communities, but we are doing the luncheon here in this building just because we've got the space. So please feel free to join us for that. And today I'm also your practitioner in service. And so I will remind everyone that we believe in the power of prayer, which we call spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. So please feel free to fill out a prayer request that's in the back of the chairs, and you can leave that in the offering plate as you go out. We have a group of people from all the New Thought centers as well who Zoom together on Tuesday afternoons, and we pray on your behalf. It is confidential, so all that shows up is your name and the category that you have filled out. Only the person who picks those up. So we have the practitioner in service who sees what you actually write, and that's it. So just know that we hold you in the highest of regard, and we do treatment for you and support you for 2 weeks or until you put another prayer request in. And after the service, there's, Bob, you're it. He's looking at me like, what? He's a practitioner. And myself, if you need prayer, please see either one of us. We're happy to pray with you after the service. And there's also forms that we call our gratitude cards. And even if it wasn't in regard to something you put in as a prayer, fill out a gratitude card if there's something you're grateful for today. We love to have those as well. We love to see the final step of the treatment is gratitude. So we like to do that before we release. So now it is time for song, silence, and prayer.
I'm held in peace. God is holding me. With every breath, with every step, God is holding me. 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 I'm held in love. I'm held in peace. God is holding me. With every breath, with every step, God is holding me. 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 God is holding
So this morning we recognize that in the silence, it is where we hear that still small voice. It is that place where we connect with the one love, the one life, the one mind that moves in and through each and every one of us. And so this morning we come together with grateful hearts. This morning we come together with joyful hearts. This morning we come together to celebrate that which is moving in our lives. And I know that our time together is blessed. We know that Reverend Bonny Allen Rice speaks words of truth to us, and our hearts and minds are open to receive this message. And so I know that this time together is blessed, that the time that we are in each other's presence is so absolutely beautiful. And so we give thanks for that as we release this time together by saying together, and so it is. And the reading this morning is from our Science of Mind textbook, pages 190 to 191, some excerpts. Ernest Holmes' words. We understand that health is mental as well as a physical state. We seek to heal our mentalities, knowing that to the degree to which we are successful, we shall also be healing our bodies. We feel that the spiritual or real person is perfect, and we seek to uncover this perfection which is within everyone's life. This is spiritual mind healing. Humans will deliver themselves from sickness and trouble in exact proportion to their discovery of themselves and their true relationship to the whole. As the laws of God are broad, so should we be in dealing with them. In this science, we believe that our life is a drama which takes place on three planes: the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. We should have no objection to any form of healing, for anything that helps to overcome suffering is good, whether it be a pill or a prayer. We believe in any method which produces results, for each has its place in the whole, and so it is.
Okay, I'm going to do a song called All the World is One by Peter Mayer, and I really like this song. I think it's true, and I think it's fun, and I hope you like it too.
You can say that you stand apart, put a fence around your yard. You can build a tall rampart, guard it with a gun. You can dig yourself a moat, burn the bridge and burn the boat. It won't matter that much, you know, 'cause all the world is one. All the world is one. You can march in a big parade every Independence Day. You can raise up your own flag, sing your own anthem. It'll ring out in the air with the other anthems there, till the winds of the earth declare that all the world is one. All the world is one. Go and ask the Buddha when he's sitting under the tree. Go ask Walt Whitman when he's looking out at the sea. Ask Alan Shepard when he's standing up on the moon, staring at that pearl of blue. Ask the man in the breath you take. Ask the water by the riverbank. Ask the strand of DNA that's written in your blood. One life running in your veins, one light from one big bang. You can try and separate it, all the world is one. All the world is one. Go and ask the Buddha when he's sitting under the tree. Go ask God when he's looking out at the sea. Ask Alan Shepard when he's standing up on the moon, staring at that pearl of blue. You can take an outbound train, try to make a getaway. You can ride off like John Wayne to the setting sun. The earthlings don't leave town, they just go round and round until they figure out that all the world is one. All the world is one.
Thank you, Sarah. I like that line that earthlings don't leave town. They just go round and round until they figure out the world is one. I love that. Yes, let's continue to hold that vision that people around the world are learning that we are all one. Thank you again for that song. And today we have a special speaker, one of my faves, and somebody who's been a major support in my life. We said it's the Bonny routine this morning. So this is Reverend Bonny Allen Rice, and she has been in religious science as a minister since 1983. After living in Los Angeles for 48 years, Reverend Bonny moved to Las Cruces, New Mexico, to become the senior minister of what at that time was called the Mastery and Life Center, and which we now know as the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces. She has a long list of all the things she has done during her years of service, so please look at our website or our newsletter to see all of the wonderful things she has done. Since she has retired, we have been blessed to have her as a guest speaker here at the center. And today I am so pleased to welcome, and please ask you to help me warmly welcome, Reverend Bonny Allen Rice.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, Bonnie. I'll lower this so you can hear me. Let's see if I can stay. Am I in the right place for the camera? Okay, all right. We got to get all these things sorted out. I've been watching recently some of my friends who are doing the same thing with their churches to see what they're doing with Zoom, and how they're doing it, what it looks like. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing. I'm one of those people, because I have all this energy, that likes to get out there and roam around, you know. I'd like to take the mic and go out there and be out there with you. But as you can see, I can't do that. So this is, I want to say, first of all, this is a very dear honor for me to be here with Bonny as my practitioner of service. She has watched me go through some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful times, and she's watched me when I was on the floor and spent time talking to me when I needed to be talked to, and spent time with me when she was going through difficult times. So it is a very dear relationship. And I'm sort of pleased. This is the first time the two of us have both been up at the same time. So I'm pleased. I hope we get to do this again. Yeah. So we're talking about healing. And of course, that's my favorite subject. A number of years ago, when I was in my 20s, I had gone to a retreat when I was living in California. And the word that I was supposed to discover at that retreat turned out to be healing. We were supposed to find out, we were supposed to go within and find out what word had the most meaning in our lives. And that was it. And I remember being surprised by it, although why I was, I'm not sure. Because as Bonny and I will tell you, we were brought up in Christian Science. So healing was a natural part of my life. We had a practitioner growing up. We had a practitioner that we called Auntie V. And we could call her on the phone, my brother and I, my twin, when we were children. We could call her on the phone and talk to her, and she would do prayers with us. I don't know any practitioners today that would do that, but she would. She was one of the most amazing human beings I have ever known, ever. And my mother was, you know, very enamored of her and the way that she did things. But she was a major person in my life. And it came out, interestingly enough, at a Buddhist retreat. When the person who was leading the retreat said, who was one of the most important women in your life? And all of a sudden her name just popped up. And I thought, wow, you know, there's something that was so woven into me, to my soul, to my beingness, that I almost never thought of her as anything else but this person who was always there. That spiritual being who was a religious person, who was our practitioner, ours, the whole family, not just one member of the family. You know, my mom didn't call her and say, "Oh, pray for Bonnie," or "Pray for Tony," or no. Bonnie and Tony called her and said, "We need your prayers." So you can see where the word healing might have special meaning in my life. And because it does, of course, I've had my fall throughs where healing was called upon because I was having difficulty with my life, and recently, as Bonnie knows, with this denomination, and healing was called for. So I wanted to start this morning by talking about the art of healing, because there is an art to the healing. It's an art form, as far as I'm concerned. And as an artist, I will tell you, it's an art form. How do we believe that we are all one and not know that we are also one with everything in this room, and everything in this room is a form of art to my way of thinking? You don't have to agree with me. But prayer and healing is an art form, and I'm going to share that, and I'm going to share it with you very personally this morning. I'm going to tell you a story about myself that no one's ever heard. Can you imagine that? I'm going to start with this. From the science of mind, the purpose of treatment. This healing power is a consciousness, the unity of all life, and the spiritual nature of all being. Can you feel that? I want you to feel that. The spiritual nature of all being. Man's life is rooted in the universal and the eternal, which life is none other than the life of God. The healing process, insofar as it may be termed a process, is in becoming conscious of this eternal truth. And what was it that Bonnie just read to you? It is a constant unfoldment of your life. It is not, I mean, I don't know anybody in this room that hasn't healed. You've had a scratch, you've healed. You've had a tonsillectomy, you've healed. You've had whatever you've had, and you've healed. You've had relationships that you've healed. You've had thoughts that needed healing, and you healed them. Healing is ever present, and it is, in some cases, a process. That process sometimes takes a long time. which I used to explain to my daughter when she'd say to me, Mom, I want to have a relationship with my father. And I would say, and so you shall. It didn't happen until Easter, which of course I loved, when she was about 27 years old. And I'd say to her, I'll give you the phone number, who you calling? She wouldn't do it. But at Easter, she called and they had a relationship. That was a 20-year prayer. So my story, without going into the pertinent details because it involves other people, I will talk about a situation that I found myself in between the ages of 12 and 14. One night, it was 10 o'clock and I was still awake. I was very disturbed and upset. And I got up and got dressed, went outside, and went on what the Aborigines used to call a walkabout, because I couldn't stay in the house anymore. But of course, a little different from the Aborigines, my walkabout had a beginning A and an ending B. And so at 10 o'clock at night, I'm in Los Angeles, California, and I'm walking down the street, and it's the 50s. So, you know, it's a little kinder and gentler time. But I was a walker even then, so I walked into Westwood Village and I walked to the Christian Science Church. And the church was new. It had been built just within a couple of years, maybe 3 years. And it was very modern. And when you were sitting inside in the sanctuary, you would look out this way, that way, and there was a garden out there. And it couldn't be seen from the street, but you could get to it from the street, and that's where I went. So I walked into the church garden, found a spot where I was comfortable, and went to sleep. And then about dawn, I got up and went home. Between 12 and 14 years old, I did this approximately 3 or 4 times. Now, if you heard me last time I spoke, you will know that I have this divine protection that I have always known about since I was like that. So probably this story doesn't surprise you, but some people it surprises because I can't imagine anybody that age, or not even be seen by the police, or nobody saw me and thought to find out what was going on. But no, they didn't. And so whenever the pressure would build to a certain point, I would get up, get dressed, and go walk about. I think when you're 10 years old, they call it running away from home. You know, it's like, and my mom used to have a story about that even. This little boy left home. He told everybody he was leaving. He was going to run away. I'm going to run away, Mom, Dad, I'm running away. Okay, fine. Yeah, okay, fine. Do what you're going to do. And so one day he packed his bag. It wasn't very much, and it wasn't very big. It was like maybe lunch. And out the door he went. Nobody said a word. About after he got tired of walking around and trying to talk to his friends and so forth, he decided it was, oh, yeah, I'm hungry. It must be dinner time. So he went home. He got home and he went in and he sat down at the table. Nobody said a word. Nobody said, where have you been? What have you been doing? Nobody said a word. Everybody was just very silent, eating their dinner. And so he looked around at everybody and saw that they were not going to respond. So he looked over, and sitting over on one of the extra dining room chairs was the cat. And he looked at his family, and in a very loud voice, he said, well, I see you have the same old cat. My mother thought this was hysterical. I kept waiting for the cat story when I showed up, but no, nothing. Now, obviously, the universe is not unaware of what I'm going through. Are you ever in a place where you don't think the universe doesn't know what you're going through? Do you think you are so isolated in what is going on that the universe is unaware of what you're going through? I want to tell you, that's not true. The universe is always aware of what you're going through. Always. And you will come to a time and a place where something may happen. And you will begin to appreciate the fact that there's more working here than you knew. So the last time I went walkabout, it was cold. And I'm lying in the garden, and I've got my nice warm jacket on, but I'm cold, and it's getting close to dawn. And I'm thinking I really don't want to get and go home, but I do want to get warm. So I went looking for a car that wasn't locked. Went across the street to the houses and the buildings along the way, and I just looked for a car that wasn't locked. And I found one. As I said, it was in the 50s. People were not locking their cars at that point. And I got into this car and I fell asleep in the back seat. Now, we're not talking about being afraid. I'm not talking to you about being filled with fear. I'm talking to you about a state of mind that was such that said, this will be a safe place for me to be for now. And I went to sleep. And I woke up. And it was just beginning to be dawn. And I said to the car, thank you for taking care of me for these hours. And I got up and I got out of the car and very quietly closed the door and started walking home and realized that I had a magazine in my hand. Well, I just took somebody's magazine and I looked down at the magazine and it was light enough for me to see what I was looking at. And it was open and folded back. And the title was, She Sits with the Dying. I was 14 years old. And I thought, oh, let me see what this says. And I found a little secluded place, on somebody's doorstep behind the bushes. And I sat down and read the article. It was about a woman who sat with people who were dying. And I read the whole article, and then I said, in a very clear, there's no fuzziness, there was no judgment, there was nothing. Crystal clear. I said, gee, I'd like to do that. And I felt in that moment, I felt to the marrow of my bones the universe say, yes. Yes. And there was a healing. When I was 14 years old. In 1983, when I graduated from ministerial school at Ernest Holmes College in Los Angeles, the first thing I did was join AIDS Project LA as a minister, chaplain. That was in 1983. In August 31st, the day before my birthday, 1990, was my 50th birthday. I received my certificate from UCLA Medical Center to be a chaplain as a resident there at UCLA. And I began my career as a chaplain. My first career was at Long Beach Community Hospital, where I was the head of pastoral care for a number of years. My 50th birthday. It's a long time. But you know, never was my faith any less than this. My faith said that whatever it was the universe said yes to me would unfold exactly when it was supposed to. Exactly when it was supposed to. And that's when it unfolded. Was I any less grateful that it was so many years later? No. Because in order to get to that place, there were other things I had to go through. There were other things I had to understand. There were other things I had to grow. And one of the things I had to grow in was my belief in healing. My belief that it could work no matter what was going on. My experience had to be my growing of my belief. And I believe it's one of the most important reasons why we are here. We must grow in our belief. We must grow in our experience. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. So, it's your turn. Now, I know somewhere around here, would you do me a favor? Would you go into my purse and get my glasses that I can see the audience with? I don't mind my glasses. This is my bifocals. But you have another pair of them too. There they are. Ah. Thank you, Bonnie. It's nice you can see better than I can. I have a hard time seeing through books. That's one thing. Okay, so it's your turn. So I've told you my story. Does anybody have any trouble believing that? No? Have you had similar experiences? Because, you know, one of the really nice things that happened last time I was here was people kept coming out and telling me, you know, I've had that experience too. And I thought I was talking about some really weird stuff. Oh no, I've had that experience too. I love it. Do you know when I found out people had these experiences? When they were dying. And you know, when people are dying, they'll tell you anything. They will tell you the worst stories about themselves. They will tell you what they've experienced. It's woo-woo, that nobody would believe them if they were just normal and they were fine. They'd say, oh, I wouldn't tell anybody this because they think I was crazy. Yes. But to put together how we walk spiritually can sound very strange if you haven't done the walk. Is that right? Yeah. And if you have done the walk, why can't we talk about it? Huh? Why? What's the reason we can't talk about doing the walk? Especially one that's that important. That is way too important. Yes? Yeah, well, so now I sound crazy. So So after I had listened to enough people tell me their woo-woo stories, I thought, well, Bonnie, you ought to start telling a few of yours. And sometimes I would. And sometimes I would trade stories with people. Oh, you know it. And I had a woman tell me when she was going to die. And that's exactly when she died. You know, it opened up a whole new world, but it was my growth in faith. I had to go through it so I could get up here today and say to you, so this was my experience and this is what happened. And I'm not crazy. Well, not so you could notice anyway. There are times, okay? So, what in your life would you like to heal? Don't answer that. I'm not asking you to tell me. I want you to think within yourself. Think about it. And what I want you to do from what we're talking about is to take what you know in religious science that you have been taught. And I want you to do something with it. But the first awareness has to be that there is the ability to heal. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care how difficult it is. There is an opportunity to heal it. And I can see those little question marks right now. Because trust me, when people are dying, they tell you what can't be healed, or they don't think it could be healed. I have a crazy notion for you. How's this? How many times have you prayed? Lots? No? Come on, guys. Prayed a lot? Okay. So what prayers, did they all come true? Did your prayers all happen? Yeah, okay, not the way you wanted them, and not the time that you wanted them. Okay. So here's a crazy idea for you. So you're gone, and you're living life someplace else, and your prayer comes true. Only you don't remember praying for it. So it just becomes this good thing that happened to you. Do you think the prayers go away? Do you think they get lost? You know, I worked for 20 years on the World Ministry of Prayer. Do you know how many times people would call and ask for the same prayer over and over and over and over again? Sometimes 2-3 times a day. You were taught never to question. You were taught to do the prayer. Okay, so I'm here in Las Cruces. I'm here at the church, and a friend of mine called and said, would you take a week and do prayers for us because we're low on folk? And I went, sure. The first call I get is a woman who's been calling me for 20 years. She's been calling the prayer line. And she recognized my voice. She went, oh, I haven't heard your voice in a long time. And I went, yeah, that's probably true. And so I asked her what a prayer was for, and it was for the same thing over again. And I said, you're going to tell me that on all these years and all these prayers, this has not happened? And I wasn't supposed to say that. That was none of my business. Anyway, I said it, and she went, oh yeah, it's happened 3 times. Okay. Turned out not to be perfect, right? Each time the prayer happened, it wasn't perfect. And so she was back at it again. I'm still looking for that. It has to be perfect. Okay. Now, do we judge this? How many times do you do a prayer and you walk into that prayer with judgment about the prayer? And whether you're going to get it, whether you're not going to get it, whether it's going to happen, whether it's good, you're good, it's whatever. and all the doubts come rolling up, and by God, I stop. That's it. I stop. And I say to Spirit, this is not happening until I'm clear, because I want to be, and hear me when I say this, I want to be soul clear. I don't just pray for, I pray with. And when I want to pray with someone, I want to pray at soul level. Clear, no judgments, no fuzzies. Just like the prayer I said without knowing I was saying a prayer when I was 14. It was crystal clear. And so focusing on that, that is what happens. And if it doesn't happen, I stop. Because I'm not doing that person any favor if I've got judgments or worries or concerns about that prayer. I'm not doing them one single favor. And to be very honest with you, I don't ever believe when I was talking to Auntie B that she had a doubt about what she was praying for me. I never doubted it. I never, as a child, doubted what she said to me. I believed that what she said was exactly right. You know, we don't always pray sometimes for something specific, particularly around people who are near death. You know, it's for the highest good. You're going to pray for the highest good. Sometimes people say the best outcome. Sometimes. But I would say the highest good can be in or out of life. So it's always for the highest good. It's always for the highest outcome, the best outcome. This is not outlining for God. This is not telling God this is what has to happen. This is telling Spirit for the highest good. Only the highest good. And then releasing it and letting it go so that highest good can show up. That's why it has to be crystal clear. I want to know that when I am speaking with that soul and with Spirit, that there is a unity and a clarity that has absolutely nothing to do with me. Nothing. You got me?
Yep.
Okay. So now it's your turn, and that's my challenge to you this week. Take something that needs to be healed. Love it. Yes, I can do that. Love it. Do your prayer. Be crystal clear. And then, by God, let it go. Let it go. This is such a hard thing for humans to learn how to let go. Yeah, it's hard. There's another saying here. The essential mind training, which I talked about last month as well, which was a book that I'm quite sure Ernest Holmes read, mostly because in the 11th generation in which this was written, they called people who practice it practitioners in the 11th generation, 1100 folks. And one of the things that was said, excuse me, taking adverse conditions into the path of enlightenment. And sometimes I think for people, instead of saying, how's your prayer work, I want to say, and how's your enlightenment coming? Because enlightenment is something that helps you along the path. To enlighten, to shine the light on, to move to that place that is, what did I say? What good can come from this? What is it? What did I say last month? What good can come from this? So the question this month is, what healing can come from this? I want you all to have the most wonderful week. You certainly have something to think about. And I will be thinking about it with you. I will be thinking about your journey and your path to enlightenment and your clarity. That will be in my prayers for all of you. Let us go into prayer. Beloved Spirit, that which I know which is greater than anything, greater than any problem I bring, greater than any joy I celebrate, greater than anything. Knowing as I turn to that path of enlightenment, as I turn to that path of healing, as I continue to develop my art form of healing, knowing that this is the way it is unfolding and working only for the highest good, only for the highest good. No matter what shows up, the question will be this week, what healing can come from this? And it shall be spoken and felt and known above all else. And it is known in gratitude and in thanksgiving and in joy. Here we are in that place of joy, in that place that is spirit forever and ever and ever. We are so blessed to be able to turn from that which does not seem to be working, even though it may turn out to be working. We continue to hold our vision of the highest good, of the truth revealed, of the healing taking place. And knowing that this is true, we give our thanks and we simply let it be. And so it is.
So my husband Doug and I have been pretty much on the road the last 2 weeks, and so I wanted to choose a song that's familiar to me. I'm going to do "This Land Is Your Land." This is by Woody Guthrie, and I did a little reading about it. It's a pretty song, and I'm sure it's familiar to most of us, and I hope you'll sing along. But it was written in 1940, So Woody Guthrie was a musician during the Dust Bowl, during the Depression, and a lot of his stuff was pretty political. And this song, he did a lot of traveling in the 1930s, and he saw a lot of, or he met a lot of people with attitudes that this land is your land, this land is my land. That was not really their attitude. It was more like this land is my land, not yours. There was a lot of exclusion and a lot of winners and losers that he saw. So this is, in many ways, you could call it a protest song, or we could call it a healing song too, I think. So, please sing along. This land is your land.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Islands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the redwood forests to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, and I found my footsteps to the sparkling sands of fertile deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. When the sun comes shining, I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling, and the voice was chanting as the fog was lifting. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
Perfect, thank you. So we come full circle with that idea of oneness. We're all one, the land belongs to all of us, and that healing opportunity as we think about who we are, whose we are, and this land that we are a part of. So I want to thank Reverend Bonny Allen Rice one more time. Thank you so much. Thank you. I always get something. It's nice to have someone come and I get fed too. And I even saw Bob over here. Sometimes we've been around it so long, you think you can't hear anything new. So it's wonderful to hear new stories and to be uplifted in a way that feeds even the minister. Isn't that great? So thank you, Reverend Bonny. She's been feeding me for years. I'm so grateful. And so as we sing that song, This Land is Your Land, and we think about who it is and what we are as a part of this community, the place that we are tithing to this month is Tents to Rent. And that is our local tent city over at Camp Hope. And they talked about in their information that they sent us that those tents can get up to 130 degrees inside. So as we say our prayers for healing, I want us to remember also those that don't have air conditioning, that don't have swamp coolers, that don't have shade, that are in these tents. and that are seeking and praying for a place to live where they feel safer and more comfortable. Because that's what we are about this month. 10% of all that comes through the center is going to support tents to rent. And that is a service that provides temporary living sites for individuals who are unhoused as they are working toward getting their own home or apartment. And so I know that we in this room feel blessed for what we have. And let's continue to hold in prayer those that don't have a place that is as cool and comfortable as we do to stay. And let's just say together our blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, in me. And I'm going to picture the young girl that's walking safe throughout the city to get her revelation as to her purpose in life and know that for each individual, wherever they lay down their head at night, they have the opportunity to tie into that revelation of their purpose. The people at Tent City have a purpose, and we want to lift that for them and see that coming into their awareness as well. And so thank you for joining us this morning. And again, thank you, Reverend Bonny, for being a part of my life and a part of our life here at this community. And so now let us sing, I Am So Blessed, and I hope you feel it. Sing it with all of that feeling.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
And it did feel right to stand up as we sang that, didn't it? I'm so grateful to Spirit, how it's moving in and through all of us. We are so blessed. And so let's just surround this room. Again, you don't have to hold hands. There's a lot of energy. We can just spread out around the room so we can see and look into the eyes of all of those that we are one with right here. And what is our closing song today, Sarah? Let there be peace. And this is a prayer. This song is a prayer to bring that greater experience and vision of peace into the world. So let's uplift these words of peace.
That was meant to be, with waters of center, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let things begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my soul's vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth. And let it begin with me.
No, I like when you get my sister. When you